Breathing was so shallow, I pressed my ear to her chest. Her heart was still beating, but barely, these tiny flutters that scared me more than the shark. The shark itself was gone, but I spotted more fins about 100 meters away. 3 or 4 of them cutting through the water in lazy circles. They hadn't come closer yet, but they knew we were there. Back on shore in Colombia, Pilar Garza was just getting to her office at the Port Authority. She found a delayed report on her desk about 2 missing divers from yesterday afternoon. The dive shop owner had finally called it in after realizing his boat came back with 2 empty spots. Pilar immediately started mapping out current patterns on her computer, calculating where we might have drifted overnight. She divided the search area into zones and started calling every fishing boat captain she knew. Within an hour, she had 8 boats heading out to different sectors. She stayed on the radio coordinating their movements and adjusting the search pattern based on wind data. None of us in the water knew any of this was happening, of course. All I knew was Elena needed help soon or she wouldn't make it. The sun was getting higher, and Elena's face was turning red from the exposure, so I pulled off my wetsuit top with shaking hands. My fingers kept slipping on the zipper, but I finally got it off and tried to tie it around the safety sausage to make some shade. The yellow tube kept bobbing away in the waves, and I had to grab it 3 times before I could wrap the black neoprene around it. I held it over Elena's face, my arms burning from keeping them raised, but at least her skin wasn't in direct sunlight anymore. The waves kept spinning us around in circles, and I couldn't tell which direction we were drifting. Elena's weight belt was still clipped to her BCD, so I unclipped it and let it sink down about 10 feet on the octopus hose. The weight dragged below us like an anchor, and suddenly we weren't spinning as much. That's when I saw it. Way off on the horizon, a huge cargo ship moving across the water. I waved the safety sausage as high as I could reach, but the ship was miles away and getting smaller. My throat made this weird croaking sound when I tried to yell. Back in Colombia, Christian Lopez was sitting in a small office at the Port Authority, his hands shaking as he talked to the investigator. He kept saying he thought everyone was on board, that the weather was getting bad, and he needed to get back fast. The investigator wrote down how Christian never used a clipboard for head counts, just looked around and guessed. Elena's breathing changed, these long pauses between breaths that made my chest tight with fear. I pressed my hand on her chest and pushed down, then again, trying to help her lungs work. Each push took strength I didn't have, but I kept going, counting out loud to keep rhythm. Her lips were turning blue, and I pushed harder, feeling her ribs bend under my palm. 20 minutes later, I heard an engine and turned to see a fishing boat, maybe 300 meters away. I grabbed the whistle on my BCD and blew as hard as I could, but the wind was blowing the wrong way. The boat kept going straight, never changing course, and I watched it get smaller and smaller until it was gone. My eyes burned from the salt and disappointment. Pilar Garza was looking at her computer screen, drawing new lines on the search map based on overnight currents. She called a cargo ship captain on the radio and asked him to change course by just 2 degrees. Every boat she could reach was now looking for anything yellow in the water. She had 8 boats in different zones and kept adjusting their paths based on wind and current data. A plastic bottle floated past us and I grabbed it, biting off the cap with my teeth. I wedged it under Elena.